the GBPUSD. And before we go into the details here of what our plans are for today, let's run through the 4 hours time frame where I was able to identify a setup that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for this week. Now, what I did here on the 4 hours time frame was to consider trading activity since the beginning of this month. And if you do that correctly, you will see that price action has been bearish so far this month. And to further emphasize the strength of the sellers here, I was able to connect a series of lower highs to give me this bearish trend line you can see on your screen right now. And in fact, this trend line is going to be one of the yardstick that will be guiding our trading activity for this week. Now, if we zoom into what has been happening in the last 1 week in this market, the first structure we have here is the 1.23750, which you can see here. And one thing that makes this level important and part of my plans for this week is the fact that we saw price action break down that structure during the second half of last week. And since the breakdown of that structure happened, we saw how that level had continued to be a strong selling niche, where buyers were finding it difficult to break out of that level. And one more thing about that 1.23750 here is the fact that it also shares a confluence with that bearish trend line. Now, one interesting thing happened here. Despite the multiple rejection of that 1.23750 by the sellers last week, one thing we saw here was that price action, as soon as it got into the 1.23100 area, we saw our buy pressure resumed from that area, hereby negating the attempt by the sellers to break down that structure. And this led into a choppy situation where price action at this moment is caught within a range between the 123.750 and the 123.100. So with this kind of situation here, you would agree with me that we are at a critical point in the market where anything could actually happen. A breakout of the resistance line at the 1.23750 could signal a reversal pattern where the breakout of that resistance line would also have broken out of that bearish trend line to signal that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to negate the bullish momentum anymore. And this will definitely be a sign that we are in for a reversal pattern. And to further buttress the potential of a reversal pattern from the structure is this impulsive move I saw here last week that broke down that 1.23750, and you saw here that when price got into the 1.231, we saw buy pressure bringing price back into the structure. And since then, price is yet to find the momentum to break down the previous low, hereby giving us a higher low. And whenever we sight a higher low like this, it's a clear sign that a bullish momentum is gradually building up behind the scenes. And if this continues like this, bringing price back into the 1.23750 this week, we might likely be seeing a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. And you know how we do it whenever we identify a potential double bottom structure. We want to quickly identify a neckline which we shall be using to guide our trading activity. So the neckline will serve as a platform that will validate this reversal pattern. So if a breakout of the neckline happens, then definitely we want to get ready to buy. And coincidentally, the neckline for that reversal pattern falls exactly along the 1.23750 area here, which shares a confluence with the bearish trend line. So a breakout of that level definitely will be welcome in a buy position here. So I want to see price action breakout of the 1.23750, and if possible retest of structure on my lower time frame will give me the privilege to add more position to my existing trade. So anywhere above the 1.23750 is looking very promising to buy the GBPUSD for this week. However, if price action continues to the downside, that is, continues to find lower highs here, and consider the fact that price action has been bearish since the beginning of this month, we cannot ignore the potentials that the sellers could still come in at any point. Now, from this current structure, what do we want to see on this chart that will give us the confirmation that it is now a good time for us to sell the GBPUSD? Well, what I want to see here is price action breaking down the 1.231. Remember, this level had been negating sellers' attempt here since last week, Thursday. And for me to sell at this point, I would rather see price action take out all the buy positions there to give me a signal that a bearish momentum, that the sellers are still very strong in this market. So a breakdown retest of the structure will give us an opportunity to add more position. So it could come in such a way that price comes back to retest the 1.23400 area, which also would share a confluence with the bearish trend line to incite another opportunity to sell the GBPUSD for this week. So as long as price action breaks down the 1.231, we'll look out for selling opportunities. Retest of structures give us further confirmations that sellers are still strong in this market. But the only area we are going to be buying is if price action breaks out of the 1.23750. Now, in order to position ourselves at a very right angle so that we can join a move at this point, let's scale down to the 1 hour time frame and let's see how participants in this market has been reacting to this key level at the 1.23400 area. So this is my key level for this week. Depending on how price action reacts to this key level will give me an insight into what is likely going to be happening, at least during the first half of this week. So scaling down into the 1 hour time frame, this is what I was able to come up with. And looking at what has been happening since the early hours of today, you will see that price action has been a little bit choppy since the beginning of this week. And as a result of this, you will see that price action has been ranging between the 1.23580 and the 1.23400 area, which happens to be our key level since the beginning of the week, to give us an insight into the level of indecision in this market. Now, coupled with the fact that price action still remains above our key level, it's looking a little bit bullish at this point. But if we are going to be buying, we need a significant confirmation for us to join a bullish momentum. And one thing you will notice here in the last 4 to 5 hours, we saw price action break out of that resistant line at the 1.23580. But immediately after the breakout, we saw an engulfing bearish candle taking out all the buy position around that area. But for me, with the breakout of this level, it's a clear sign that we have some buy pressure around that area. So because of the breakout has already happened and price action coming back into the key level to find buy pressure, I want to be having a buy stop order above the 1.2358 level to be part of a bullish momentum to the upside. And if price action continues in such a way that it breaks out of that key level we identified at the 1.23750 on the 4 hours time frame, which I also said shares a confluence with a bearish trend line, because a breakout of that structure would also have broken out of that trend line, will welcome more opportunities in this market to buy the GBPUSD. So for today, we are looking forward to buying opportunity above the 1.23580, and as long as price remains above that structure, we continue to look out for more opportunities to buy. And to further help us make things a little bit easy for us to spot trading opportunities today, I was able to connect the series of higher lows here, giving us this bullish trend line on your screen, which we are also going to be using to guide our trading activity. So as long as price action remains above that trend line, we feel comfortable in our buy position. So like I said, we are waiting for a buy opportunity above the structure, so we could see price continue to trade above this level. We feel comfortable in our buy position and continue to ride the momentum all the way to the upside by adding more position. But if at any point in time during the New York session today we cite a breakdown of the trend line, that is price action breaches the trend line to the downside, then at this point we want to have a bearish signal considered. And if a breakdown of the trend line happens, price action would have also broken down the key level at the 1.2340 area. Then we wait for price action to give us a confirmation on our lower time frame, retest of structure, continued selling pressure, then we can join the decline to the downside. Then a further breakdown of the 1.23100 level will be welcoming more position to our existing sell position in this market. So this is how we are going to be anticipating a potential trading opportunity today. So we have a critical structure at this point where price action still ranges between this area. So a breakout or breakdown of this range will be giving us an opportunity to buy or sell. And please mark this out on your charts, this trend line, as it's going to go a long way in helping us to feel comfortable in whatever position we are in. As if price remains above that structure, we feel comfortable buying, and if price breaks the level to the trend line to the downside, we get ready to sell the GBPUSD at that point. So let's keep this in mind. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section.